Video format again. You can see us. Hey there, guys. Um, we are back. This week we are going to be not really talking about much like horror nights, stuff like that. We are going to be chatting about the time we spent this last weekend at Sir Henry's Haunted Christmas. It's a great little event, locally run down in Plant City, pretty much out sort of by Lakeland, Tampa area. So if you're in Orlando, about 45 minutes if you don't hit traffic, 50 to an hour or so if you hit traffic. So it's definitely worth your while. We got invited to go down to their media night this past weekend. It was on Sunday, so it was not too long ago. It should be still fresh in our minds. But we're going to discuss some of the stuff that we saw, some of the mazes and the runs that we had. We'll talk about exactly details and all that stuff once we kind of get into it. So it might be a little bit of a shorter episode this week, but we want to spend our time talking about the event and just get you down there, get you noticing it, because it's just such a cool event, especially the Christmas one. That one, I honestly, I don't want to say I prefer it over like the Halloween style stuff, because I didn't get to go this time, and I really was jealous of that haunted hayride. But I love Christmas horror. I just think it's such a fun combination. But it's something that you don't see like events usually don't just dive right in on these like other holidays other than Halloween. So it's cool when this event pops up. It's always a fun time to go down there. So before we get into that, let me crack my beer open. This is one that I think I've had like a couple times, but every time I've had it, I say I'm not sure if I've had it before, and it's still the same. I'm not sure if I've had this before, but I feel like I probably have had it like 3 or 4 times. But it's Ocean Monsters. This is from Abomination Brewing. It's a New England hazy IPA. It's got a 6.5% ABV. This is from Abomination Brewing. It's a little microbrew up in Connecticut, North Haven. And this is actually a collaboration beer. It's collaborated with Mast Landing Brewing, which is out in Westbrook, Maine. It's brewed with Golden Promise red wheat, malted and flaked oats, hopped and double dry hopped with juicy blend of Citra. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. Can art's really cool. It's almost like a little Cthulhu monster attacking them on their boat, which is pretty cool. If you're watching, hint, hint, wink, wink, go on YouTube. You can watch us now. Really cool can art. So I'm going to crack this thing open. Jamie, you got something cool that I know you just grabbed. So why don't you discuss that while I crack this on open?
I did. In honor of our Sir Henry's episode tonight, I have a nice glass of the spiced apple cider that they were selling at the Sir Henry's. And I've actually waited to do a first little taste thing like we usually do until we started as well. So let's try it. Crisp.
Yeah, this is
really
the one
good.
I got. The one I have is, I mean, this is just like, it smells like any other NEPA. Like, this has strong Citra hops. It reminds me a lot of the Voodoo Rangers. That's probably the more popular of the New England Citra hop style stuff that we kind of are used to in mainstream. But let's see how this one goes. This one, I'm hoping it tastes good.
Yeah. And the apple cider, by the way, is non-alcoholic, but still very tasty.
Oh, it is? I thought it was alcoholic.
No, non-alcoholic, but it kind of tastes like an apple pie cider. I don't know. It kind of has a little cinnamon kind of aftertaste to it. I really like it. It's good.
Yeah, this one, this is a good taste. You do get the Citra hops, but it really doesn't have that 6.5%. I mean, that's barely above a Bud Light, so it's not that like kick you in the mouth, knock you out kind of style beer. So it's enjoyable. This is like a session beer. You could have a handful of these and still feel all right.
Very nice.
But before we get into the 2 trails that we went through, Jamie, do you want to talk about the like event dates and where to get tickets and stuff like that?
Yeah, so pretty much, essentially, they are doing it 5 nights in the month of December. They are doing it Friday and Saturday, December 8th and December 9th, and also December 15th and December 16th from 6:30 to 10:30. And then they are also doing Sunday, December 17th from 6:30 to 9:30. You can get them at sirhenryshauntedtrail.com, and make sure you get your tickets online before going to the event ahead of time, because they do not sell them at the entrance.
Yeah. Super fun. It was definitely get your stuff in advance. You don't want to get there and then realize you don't have service or something like that. I do want to suggest, obviously, this is an outdoor event. It's very it's all open paths in the woods essentially. So bring proper footwear. Don't come in, high heels. Don't come in. I wouldn't even suggest Crocs because the holes in them. You want to get some shoes that will actually kind of support yourself through the trails if there's any inclement weather or something like that. But yeah, so we enter. I have a question for you guys. Was that little like facade to the courtyard there during the Halloween event? Because that's the first time I had seen it.
Yes, but I think it is new. I think they either started doing that this year or the year before, but they did have it for the Halloween one.
Nice. So yeah, they have the little turnstile in between, something that resembled the tree from Dueling Dragons. That's what it kind of resembled towards to me. But yeah, so you go through that. You're in this big open courtyard area, and there's a lot of cool stuff. Seamus, do you want to go into the stuff, like maybe the characters that are in there? Because it's cool, because it's almost like a scare zone, like a live scare zone. There's not really a major theme, but there's some cool like set pieces and characters and stuff. And then you could talk about that, and then we can kind of go into our interactions with them.
Yeah, there's, it's kind of broken up like in a big central courtyard area. So if you want to think of it like a scare zone, it's one big scare zone with everything kind of on the outside of it. But yeah, it's pretty cool. They have your usual suspects when it comes to Christmas themed horror. So things like, Krampus is obviously there. And I honestly, I'm not even sure what this thing was, but I think it was like a dead or a demon reindeer who screeched quite loudly. So congratulations, you have quite the loud screech. So you do a pretty good job at that. They have the weird horny snowman. Snowman who ran
where's
around.
it going with this? We're not talking about Nightmare Fuel.
Who ran around shaking? It's
backing it up.
It's yeah. Well, what Jamie said, backing it that ass up. And then what else did they have? Hold on. Gingerbread Man. The two carolers, which I think probably had the best costumes.
They look great.
The carolers, they look really, really cool. So if you haven't watched the video yet, Nick's got some really good shots of them. And then of course Sir Henry himself. So you want to catch the man himself. He's usually hanging out in the courtyard talking to guests. So make sure to find him. And then I think there were a couple other smaller characters. There was one dude who I thought was a guest, and I was kind of mean to him. So I apologize, or him or her, whoever it was. I thought you were just some person in line trying to scare people.
Yeah, that was
you definitely made.
But then apparently they work for it because they're walking around with puppets in their hands. So
with Fred the Pumpkin Man.
Fred the Pumpkin Man.
It's the person. They were dressed in all black, and they were kind of like creepily like slinking through the line. And I just get like really anxious just in any kind of situations. And I was like, I don't know if they're like a part of this or if they're just like hanging out. But yeah, they definitely work there. So that made me feel
yeah, they were definitely super super annoying to start, because I thought it was just some random person that got invited for media nights trying to like act as if they were working there. And you know how that goes, that like you go to cosplay conventions and stuff like that, and like people literally think they're Freddy Krueger when they dress up. It's like, okay, just chill out.
Makes you question people like that. It's like, are you guys okay? Like,
yeah, like it's cool to cosplay fake. And dress up, right? But like when you like think you're like an actor, like this isn't an audition. So when they were doing that to us in the line, I was like, all right, this person's doing this literally just to cut the line, because they like everybody just let them go. I was like,
I know
they found a way. It makes a lot more sense now,
though. And I was like, oh, so they were allowed to cut the line. They work there. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it made a lot more sense after the fact, but going into it, I was like, all right, it's just annoying. But
also,
but yeah, so the courtyard.
Sorry, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just gonna say that's where the kind of scare zone courtyard is. But what were you gonna mention?
I just wanted to mention that one of the newer characters that I saw they had was the Stiltwalker Nutcracker, which I thought with the electric cow prod, which was really fun. I liked them; they were really cool.
Yeah, their makeup was really cool.
Mm-hmm. Definitely,
yeah, it worked out really well.
Jack Torrance character too, but he was kind of like part of the house.
But
not really. He was like in the house, but not out. Like, yeah.
Yeah. What
Gotcha.
amazes me, and we'll get into this once we get into the two houses and stuff like that, is just the amount of people that do work this event. For an event that only runs for 5 nights, these mazes are pretty long in the woods, and each maze, I mean, I'd have to say was what, at least 10 to 12 people per, plus the
Yeah.
5 or so in the zone. So I mean, they got like 30 characters working there.
And I
So
think it's all
you're
volunteer too.
Yeah,
I don't
I,
think they
I
get
do
paid
think so
for it.
too. Yeah, I think so as well, which
But
goes
if
to
they do
show the
get
love
paid,
of
it's
this.
not like they're not like Universal where it's like an actual like full-time job.
Yeah, and there was one of the houses, and we'll get into it, had like children. I was like,
Yes,
"Is
they
this
have actual
legal?
children
Is
that
this
work,
legal?" But I
which is
mean,
why I think
that's
it's
I
like
like
volunteer.
it.
when we did this kind of stuff back in the day. I mean, we were children, so like we made Patrick
This
do
is
it.
true. We were, but he chose to. Don't.
Patrick, get
Yeah,
in
we
the
didn't make
cobwebs.
him do it.
The cobwebs now. We're putting you in the blacklight room again.
He enjoyed that. I'll just say.
But yes, so that's kind of the courtyard. In the courtyard, that's where you find not just the characters themselves, but that's where you can find the little food area, the escape
Mhm.
room, the entrance to the laser tag. You have the is where you buy their merchandise over in the corner. It's got their shirts, some earrings, candles.
The swag
We picked
shop.
up a candle. Yeah, the little swag
Swag
shop.
shop.
That's what it is. And then like smack dab in the middle is this really cool set of like Santa being just absolutely dismantled and killed with lights and candy canes and all kinds of cool stuff. Very
It's pretty phenomenal.
gruesome scene, which is really, really cool. But
Mhm.
let's just go, I guess, in order of what we did these houses. And we did Creatures of Christmas first. Long. These things are a lot longer than I imagined or remembered. This one gave me a lot of reminiscence towards Dead Man's Pier. There was a little scene with like some boats, and it kind of reminded me of that area in the house where you walk into the docking indoor port, and it's the boat in what was supposed to be water, but you walk kind of around it. It was pretty much right along that, where you kind of walk on the outside pier of these docked boats, and I was like, oh man, this house is just made for me. This is great. But yes, like Seamus was talking about, there was that frozen, almost Jack Torrance like character up at the front who is sort of like a greeter, I guess, or just kind of sort of set the pace. Ooh, had to sneeze for a second. But set the pace for the house. But this was really cool. You walked in, there was a character up on the top deck, just kind of screaming down, like, they left me here, they blah, 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 stuff like that. But just cool set designs in general. Like this, it's cool because it's not polished. It's not polished up with fresh coats of paint and brand new stuff that's made to look old, and props like that, which we're used to at Horror Nights. This is like, you probably went antiquing or to some like yard sales to find props. And like, these are really just kind of older
Authentic.
items, and they're all
Mhm.
repurposed stuff, which is really cool to see. But I enjoyed Creatures of Christmas. What did we think of that one, Jamie?
I enjoyed it too, honestly. I know you're pretty happy about the little Yeti cameo, aka the abominable abdominal. It's always
The
been a hard
abdominal
word
snowman?
for it.
The abs, man. The situation.
but, but yeah, so that was fun in there. I feel like this one, I feel like they had some fun puppets, animatronics, the bigger kind of stuff in this house, which I thought was really cool. I don't remember seeing that in the previous trail that this was utilized for, but I really like the character design that they used for some of the stuff. I thought Jack Frost, so I was doing the POV through this house, so I was kind of like watching my phone and looking up a little bit. So I feel like I kind of missed a couple parts, but I did see Jack Frost and he looked super cool with his frozen icicle face. I thought that was really fun. The Abdominal Snowman. There was a bunch of cool creatures. Like you said, I could definitely see the Dead Man's vibes that you were getting from this, and I really liked it. And I feel like the lighting that they had with it, kind of that light blue, kind of green-esque, and then the fake snow falling around and stuff like that. And I feel like they did really well from repurposing this trail from the Halloween one that they had previously into the Creatures of Christmas. It just really gave it that nice Christmassy vibe, and I thought it was really fun. And I was looking back how you mentioned these trails are a little bit longer on the videos that I taken. I think this one was probably almost 4.5 minutes, which is a pretty decent length for a trail. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, these were that blue atmosphere was really, really cool. Gave me a lot of that Dead Man style
Yes.
stuff too.
Yeah.
Seamus, thoughts on Creatures of Christmas?
Yeah, it was pretty good. The one thing to know about this specific haunt is they pretty much reuse the same path as the Halloween haunt,
Mhm.
but they do a really good job of like dressing it up so that it actually fits the theme.
Exactly.
So like if you were at the Halloween one, you'll notice that a lot of it does kind of look the same, but it does have a different vibe and it has a different set dressing and has different characters in it. So it still feels fresh. Yeah, it's pretty good. Again, as we stated the Sunday night, this was not my favorite of the two, but I do think they do a pretty good job of filling the space and telling a story for a smaller haunt. You don't typically get like a really in-depth thought out story, and they do a pretty good job of doing that. Even if it is, hey, here's a bunch of random snow monsters that stole a bunch of children, but hey, it's pretty good, and they do a pretty good job of getting the scares. And like I stated again in our instant reaction, I think that like it's different when there's a little less there's less rules. I mean, obviously they're not going to like attack anybody, but like they can
Mhm.
get up in your face a little bit more than they can elsewhere, which is nice, and it kind of gives you more of a cozier feeling.
Yeah, yep.
In a good way, but also in like in a scary way. So yeah, I
Yeah,
enjoyed this one.
they're sort of roaming versus like being stuck to like
Yeah,
one little nook.
Mhm.
And they are given. I'm assuming that they're given a lot of freedom. I'm sure they're just like, here, this is kind of what you should say, something along these lines, but just do what you want, because they just kind of ad lib a lot, and we find that in the next little maze or walkthrough that we're going to be talking about. But that was the Creatures of Christmas. I really enjoyed this one. There was a lot of cool.
I did
And that's why
too.
I think I like the Christmas ones, because the lighting, like there's just a lot of cool Christmas stuff you can
Mhm.
use in these houses. Whether it's just Christmas lights or Christmas trees and stuff like that, you can get some really cool like accent lighting with that to give you a cool atmospheric feel, which I thought was accomplished pretty well here. And this one was sponsored by Nick's Pizza. I think there's a little. Oh, the event was there was an ad that said Nick's Pizza, and I was like, wait a second,
Next
I
pizza.
didn't make a pizza shop.
Next pizza
So yeah,
wins.
shout out Nick's Pizza. I don't know where you're at, but you should sponsor me because I'm also a Nick. Um, Sleigh Bells 2. This was a sequel, I believe, to one of the previous Haunted Christmas years. I think it was either last year or the year before. But they brought it back. This one was pretty much the elves kind of taking over and essentially just putting everybody on the naughty list.
Mhm.
That's how I sort of took it. But Jamie, do you want to walk through this one a little bit for us?
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I know you kind of mentioned it already, but I have the little synopsis pulled up for the house if you wanted me to read it. But
Ooh,
if not, I could
yeah,
go into it.
please do.
Yeah,
And
sure.
why don't you finish the? Did we read the one for Creatures of Christmas?
No, but I can if you'd like me to.
Yeah, do that one first, and then we'll segue over into Sleigh Bells.
Okay, cool. So for the Creatures of Christmas, like Nick was mentioning before, these kind of have a storyline that they follow as well, which I really like, similar to the originals that we get at other haunts like Horror Nights. They have a backstory. So Creatures of Christmas, far beyond the outskirts of civilization, sat an isolated winter village. Legend has it that this is where creatures and monsters from ghost stories lived. Krampus, abominable snowmen, Jack Frost, and more are said to call this place home. A team of explorers recently went looking for these beings and hoped to disprove this strange rumor. But all that was found of them was their gear, ripped up and covered in blood. Do you have the guts to find out for yourself what lives in this snow capped village? And scene.
Do you? Do you?
And scene.
Perfect. Yep. So let's get into Sleigh Bells. We'll kick this one off with the synopsis, and then we'll kind of go from there.
All right, so following the success of their rebellion, Psyche and the elves began running the North Pole their way. The naughty and nice list was thrown out the window, and they declared every child naughty. But the naughty children won't be getting coal this year. Instead, a whole line of new demented toys are being produced. Toys straight out of children's nightmares. With the reindeers on their side to deliver these hellish toys, who can stop them? Is Christmas ruined forever?
Something that I didn't really take away from the path was the demented toys aspect. I didn't really see a lot of the demented toys. I saw obviously all like the evil elves and them telling me I'm on the naughty list,
Mhm.
but I didn't see a lot of like weird toys. Did I miss something, or did you guys
After
notice those?
after reading that, I don't really think that I did either. Maybe it was some of the I know there was some of the prop rooms that they had where they were building the toys towards kind of the end of the trail. And like I said, when I was recording myself, I wasn't really paying attention as much other than to not be running into things. But maybe just not that I saw, but I did see mostly like the elves and stuff like that. Or maybe just
Mhm.
the costume and designing that they had kind of looked similar to the elves and I got them confused, but I didn't really notice either.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Seamus, what did you think of the sleigh bells? Two.
This is my favorite of the two. I think this one slightly longer, but I like the theming better. And I like the idea of changing scenes. So you kind of do walk, you start in a house and you get some house scenes, then you go out in the woods and everything it kind of changes up on you a little bit. It's not just walk in a building, path, and leave. This one, it felt like you were kind of leaving, a house and kind of walking through Santa's village. And the characters do a really good job in this telling the story as well. I think that is what makes this one nice. It's not just scare, scare, scare. It's a whole bunch of evil elves and they scream and yell at you and tell you things and tell you why you're a bad person. And it's fun. And kind of walking into the little courtyard area or like the little village area
That was
feels like
so
you're
sick.
outside in the Santa's village.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I enjoyed this one. Plus, it has mannequins, and mannequins scare the shit out of me. So
Not me
Yep.
and Seamus's favorite.
No, there was a lot of cool stuff, and like you mentioned, that's I did appreciate and like that part of this maze was that it does play on setting. So, like you said, you go in and then you're outdoors, and then you go in and then you're in a town center, and then you're back inside, then you're back out in the woods. Like you're kind of all over the place on this one. So I really did enjoy that because it throws you off and you're just kind of like, well, what is next? But that little for me, the town center was like the my favorite part of this
Mhm.
was going through this. It looked like an actual movie set where they would film like a downtown westerny kind of thing
Mhm.
because it was just kind of these buildings on both sides and ahead of you. You had this characters kind of roaming about and you kind of pinballed in between. You took a left into a building and then you came out of the building on the other side. So I did enjoy that part of that one.
Mm.
Uh, Jamie, what were your kind of like highlights and stuff like that for this walkthrough of sleigh bells?
Yeah, like you'd mentioned too, the whole I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, the kind of courtyard scene that they had for Santa's village and the workshop and stuff like that. I just thought that was phenomenal. And Seamus, I could be wrong, but I was trying to think when they did the haunted hayride last year, we did go through like a town kind of like village
yeah.
scene, and I
hmm
wonder if that's part of it, but just like to the opposite side of it, like it
No,
falls
I
back.
think they were two different ones because there was a town
Uh-huh.
village thing in the Halloween one
Yeah,
too.
that's what I
So
thought too. It looked kind of similar, but it just might
it
be
looked
different from
similar, but
the
both
trail.
both of them had it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I did really like that part. I also really liked walking into the kind of gothic style church cathedral towards the end of the trail when you're walking in from the woods and stuff like that. And I don't know what about being in the woods just gets me so scared. I guess it's cuz I know you guys have, but I've just never really been to like haunts that are like outdoors like in the woods like that, and it's just so scary to me, and it was so much fun even though I could see where the people were. I was still getting scared, and it's just the way that they set these trails up. I really do like that they elongate it so much to make it feel like you're immersed in such a bigger area than what you're in, I guess you could say, because I was looking back at the video for this one, and this house was a little over 5 minutes long. So this one was fairly long as well. And I think the one thing that's really nice about it too is that I'm not sure if they do this for the regular ticketed nights, but for the media night, they kind of send you in by your group and kind of sporadically push you in. So you kind of have your own little pathway to walk through and stuff like that without being jumbled up in a line, which I thought is really nice too.
I'd imagine this is what they do on normal
Yeah,
nights as
I
well,
think so.
which is one of the big benefits of these local haunts. Because
Hmm.
as much as we love HHN, I think the biggest takeaway from it would be if it was possible in a perfect world, which it will never go back to, would be staged or pulsed entrances into the houses because the best runs at any HHN house is like that 145 one where you are the only one in the area and there's nobody around you. So it cannot be done at Horror Nights, but it would make stuff a lot better. So these vents like this, Howl-O-Scream does it as well too. They sort of pulse you through these houses so you can have your own sort of enjoyment out of it and not see the scares coming. But yeah, this one was another long one. I really enjoyed this one. I think I did like this one a little bit better as well.
It was my favorite too.
Now that I'm like sitting on it. But yeah, those were the two houses. And if you do want to see Jamie's selfie reaction videos, head over to our YouTube page. We put up a video reviewing our Sir Henry's trip and documenting it. And you can see in that both of the runs from those houses. They're in selfie style, so it's not going to really spoil a lot. Some of the characters, again, kind of like being able to ad lib and stuff like that, came on behind Jamie on camera and followed her through. So nothing was filmed straight on, but it's
being followed
was
is
fun
very
for sure.
scary, and they enjoy doing that, and it always gets me because I'm like looking around every 5 minutes, and then I don't know, I just get really scared with stuff like that. It's just being outdoors. It's what really gets me because literally when we walked into Creatures of Christmas, I got a really bad like scare to my right, and I like torqued my neck, and I was like, holy shit! I think I got so scared that I freaking pulled a muscle in my neck. But no, it was a really good time. The trails were really fun and it's really enjoyable. And you guys should definitely go if you have the chance to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So check out the video, check out the actual haunt itself. On top of that, there are laser tag. We didn't do it this time, just timing wise. We wanted to get back on the road because we were all the way out back in Orlando. So we don't want to get stuck in traffic. But we did this a previous year. It was very fun.
We're old.
They kind of set you up. Yeah, set you up in old school laser tag style, put you out. I don't know if it's in the same little field area. I'd assume it is. Last time they did it, there was like snowmen out there and stuff like that, and you can kind of shoot away. And then there's like a little 5 minute or 3 to 5 minute escape room. I'm very curious how these little mini escape rooms work. I consider myself a escape room connoisseur. But this one, again, we just kind of time wise, we're not like, we were just kind of ready to wrap stuff up because it was pretty rainy on the way in. We wanted to make sure we had time to edit the stuff and get it all turned around for them because we wanted to make sure that the stuff got promoted before their opening day, which is today, which you're listening to on Friday. But yeah, so they have a lot to offer other than just the two little trails. So you can go there and spend a few hours. I'm sure the waits aren't going to be crazy for the houses. So if you want to rerun some houses or mazes or zones, whatever these are called when they're outdoors, trails, yeah. None of the ones that I mentioned, of course. They do not serve alcohol, and their food is minimal. So, be prepared to either eat beforehand and go full, or do your stuff there and head out and to eat after the fact. But just be prepared for those two things. They have like the little snacks and stuff like that. I'm sure you can get like the corn dogs and the popcorns and stuff like that. They're just the nibbles essentially, but don't plan on having meals and stuff like that. You're not going to get burgers and stuff like that there, I don't believe. But yeah, so that was Sir Henry's Haunted Christmas. Jamie, any final thoughts on Sir Henry's Haunted Christmas this year?
Yeah, I'm really regretting not getting it, but they had an awesome, like, shaved ice snow cone truck there as well, and they had this at the Halloween one too, and I still didn't get anything, and they had, like, holiday-flavored snow cones and different little fun stuff, and I was looking at some of the offerings, and those looked really fun, but like you were saying too, it is good to mention that the food offerings aren't that extensive. They have, like, little pretzels, nachos, chips, kinda little stuff like that, but they also sell the apple cider that I'm drinking right now, and they have a bunch of fun kind of, like, little salsas, jams, hot sauces, and stuff like that you could purchase. Authors that they have there for the Sarah Henry's books. They're also going to be selling those books there. They were there on Media Night as well. And yeah, I mean, all around, this was a really fun time. Really great of Sir Henry to invite us out again. It was great to see some familiar faces and enjoy the holiday spooky time. So, yeah.
It is always fun. It's kind of like a little mini reunion of HHN. You kind of run into a lot of the same people you see at the at Universal, and it's just like, oh, it's fun. It's different. It's kind of after the fact. It's like seeing your friends, like years after you graduate. You're like, oh wow, I didn't expect to see you here, but you knew they were going to be there. Seamus, final thoughts on Sir Henry's Haunted Christmas?
Nope, just that it's a fun little excursion, especially if you're in the area. Like you said, we were there. It's only 5 days, so it's this weekend and next weekend. So if you do want to check it out, try to get over there. Like I said, tonight, tomorrow night, or next weekend. It's a fun little haunt. I would suggest it or recommend it for those with little ones, because it's a little less intense than, say, Horror Nights, and maybe you aren't ready to bring your kids to Horror Nights yet. This is a nice like testing event almost. Like you kind of see, like, you know, how do they do at an event? It's small, it's quaint. I can't imagine it gets incredibly busy. So it's, at least you don't feel like you're being crowded in with a million people. And even if like you don't go to Horror Nights because you don't like the big crowds, this would be a great event to go to, because you can still get that feeling of, you know, being scared, getting that haunted attraction, that haunted walk experience, and not feel like you're being, you know, pushed into a sardine can. So for those that, like, you know, any one of those things kind of up your alley, this is definitely something to check out. Even if you yourself are a scaredy cat, this is a great thing to do, because it's not as intense as Horror Nights would be.
I don't know. I got pretty scared.
You're one of those scaredy cats, though.
I am a scaredy cat. Yes. I was gonna say, I don't know. I got some pretty good scares, but yeah, I am a scaredy cat. As much as I love it, I've always been.
Yeah, this is an event that I do like. It brings me back home. I like that local haunt feel. It's just feels very good. It's cool to see, you know, stuff in different degrees. You know, it's kind of like seeing the band at a local show before they get big. It's like seeing at Sir Henry's versus HHN. It's, you know, kind of the same comparison. I used to see this one band play, you know, at a roller skating rink, and now they're playing arenas. It's kind of like you get two sides of the table with this one. So yeah, definitely go check it out if you can, if you're in the area. Before we kind of jump off, horror movies of the week, did anybody watch anything fun this week that was other than our What to Watch Wednesdays that we've been posting for y'all? Some suggestions on Wednesdays. Anybody got anything fun?
I did watch something, but I don't know if you want me to mention it. I could probably mention it. You want me to take over for Shutter Sundays, but I watched what we're going to be watching for our Shutter Sundays coming out this Sunday.
Ooh, so what is it? What are we going to watch on Shutter Sundays? And why don't you explain Shutter Sundays just in case people are unaware?
So Shutter Sundays is a little segment that Nick and I do on our YouTube channel, and essentially we pick Shutter movies. It doesn't have to be Shutter exclusive, but just films that they have on Shutter at the moment, and we kind of do a little 10 to 15 minute review over them, which I really enjoy doing. We've done a couple of them so far. Like Nick has mentioned before in the previous episodes, I think we're going to start getting better about being more consistent with it. And especially with the new year coming up, we got a lot more fun stuff in store as well. But we are going to be watching, I don't know if you've watched this one before. It is called P2.
Okay.
P2. I don't know. Also it's also a holiday horror. So
perfect.
I think you'll like it.
Very fitting.
Yeah,
very fitting.
Like it. Seamus, I don't know if you've seen it either, but I think you would really enjoy it as well.
No, I haven't watched it, but I'll
it's on
probably
Shudder
give it
right now. Yeah,
I'll give it a chance.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is no. Go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say, Seamus, did you watch anything for horror movie of the week?
Nothing specific, no.
Yeah, I watched. We were watching Jack Frost the other night. Not the sad one, but the super awesome,
the goofy, cheesy horror movie one.
Guy gets covered in like acid sludge, melts into the snow, and
the
becomes
Michael
a snowman.
Keaton one.
Not the Michael Keaton one. Not that one. You don't want to mistake those two and put them on and be like, wow.
Yeah, don't do
that. I was expecting to get scared, not just cry like a little baby.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh yeah, don't watch it. It'll get you.
Okay.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, we said this one's gonna be a little bit of a shorter one just because we wanted to put all of our attention onto Sir Henry's and kind of talk about the stuff that we got to go through there. Jamie mentioned we have Shutter Sundays coming out on Sunday. We're going to be rolling out a lot more new stuff as we keep going. I'm sure if you're following us on our pages, you've seen our clips, you've seen our What to Watch Wednesday. We have some more stuff that's going to be rolled out in the next month or so. We're going to try and do some trips to various breweries in the area of Orlando and kind of talk to some of the brewers. We're also going to start trying to do a new segment of sorts, and I'll kind of wait until we get closer to, I don't want to say production because that makes it sound official, but I want to wait until we kind of get closer to starting them, then announce them. I don't want to tease something that's going to be a couple months out, but some fun stuff that we're going to be pushing. So make sure you're following us on all of our pages. But other than that, this is Nick.
This is Seamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy Sir Henry's Haunted Christmas.